Welcome back to Decipher the Matrix. We're going to be exploring the healing path through spirituality, embodiment, and inner truth today. I'm Kayla Cipher, a licensed therapist and energy worker, and a space holder for the deep seekers and sensitive souls. Today's episode is for anyone who's ever gotten lost in their spiritual journey. If you found comfort in things like astrology, meditation, or energy healing, but still feel stuck, overwhelmed, or ungrounded, this is for you. We're diving into the often unspoken difference between true healing and spiritual escapism. Because let's be honest, for those of us with trauma, spiritual tools can easily become ways to avoid pain instead of process it. Have you ever found yourself meditating, pulling cards, or diving into astrology, but still feeling anxious or stuck? What if your spiritual practice has become a way to avoid your actual healing? Well, let's talk about the difference. Spirituality as integration, as presence, embodiment, connection to truth, and self-awareness. Spirituality as escapism is bypassing the body, avoiding discomfort, and seeking a high vibes only, or over-relying on guides and visions without anchoring in the now. John Wellwood is a Buddhist psychotherapist and author, and he coined the term spiritual bypassing. He described a common tendency among spiritual practitioners to use spirituality as a defense mechanism, avoiding unresolved emotional issues and deeper wounds under the guise of a spiritual practice. So what is spiritual bypassing? Spiritual bypassing is when someone uses spiritual beliefs or practices to suppress or avoid uncomfortable emotions like anger, grief, or shame, bypass relational wounds and personal trauma, or escape from responsibility. They create a false sense of superiority or detachment from the human struggle. Some examples of spiritual bypassing is the concept that everything happens for a reason, and we use that to avoid feeling pain or grief. Or people who say love and light only, a culture that shames anger, boundaries, or shadow work. Over-reliance on meditation, yoga, or psychedelics without addressing the trauma. Dismissing therapy or relational accountability with phrases like, "I've transcended that." Wellwood believed that true spirituality is not about rising above the human experience, but deeply inhibiting it. He advocated for what he called embodied spirituality, the integration of spiritual awareness with psychological healing. He said, when we bypass our pain, we also bypass our power. Another concept I'd like to talk about today is trauma and the temptation to escape. Trauma can fragment the self, making disassociation feel safer. Spirituality can feel like a safe refuge, but if it's not rooted, it becomes another disassociative tool. So for example, some people are very obsessive with doing readings or rituals. They can become fixated on the twin flame concept, ascension timelines, or past lives without addressing the current emotional wounds. And they can avoid therapy because everything is happening for a reason. Actually, I've experienced a lot of trauma throughout this lifetime. I noticed that the best healing process that's worked for me and many people that I work with is integrating spirituality with therapy. So how can we tell if we're escaping or healing? It's great to ask yourself self-reflective questions. For example, am I using this practice to feel more present or to numb myself? Do I face my emotions and triggers or spiritually label them away? Is my nervous system calm and grounded, or am I spiritually overstimulated? So embodiment is the key. Breath work, nervous system regulation, somatic work. We can really bridge the two in grounded spirituality. There are many tools and practices that can help anchor spiritual experiences in real life, like trauma-informed therapy, like I practice in my therapy practice with clients. Inner child healing. I often do inner child meditations with clients and help walk them through their young childhood years and traumas, or even teenage years into adulthood. Journal, Journaling after meditating can be a great concept to use, or journaling after doing Akashic readings, just to better integrate the information that we learn from the spiritual realm and how we can live it in day to day life. We can also track how spiritual insights translate into real world behavioral change. And that's really what I like to help integrate in my coaching with my clients. I invite you to sit with discomfort. Be curious about when you seek to escape. You can share your own practice and how you stay rooted. I'd love to hear from you. And I encourage you to reach out for support, whether it's therapy, mentorship, or readings that are able to help you integrate your spiritual and therapeutic practices together. Along with this episode, I have some grounding practices for real healing that I'd love to share with you, and some journal prompts that can be great self-reflective opportunities. Follow and subscribe this podcast if this resonated for you today.